Rosenhan's experiment, Being Sane in Insane Places, was a study that took place in 1973 when 8 people infiltrated different psychiatric hospitals. The pseudopatients consisted of 3 women and 5 men, and their professions included a pediatrician, a psychiatrist, a painter, and a housewife. This is a reenactment of their stories. Each person was told to exhibit symptoms of schizophrenia in order to be admitted into the psychiatric hospitals. For example, they were told to complain about hearing voices, which were not their own, but of their gender. These voices said things like thud, empty, and hollow. Upon admittance to the hospital, the pseudopatients ceased the symptoms immediately.
Here's the chief doctor now, the pride of the asylum. Let's watch as he diagnoses our Confederates, posing as a housewife suffering from schizophrenia.
I'm Dr. Nesbitt. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mrs. Penniless.
All right, Miss Penniless.
Mrs.
Mrs. Penniless, sorry. And what seems to be the problem today?
Well, actually, I've been hearing voices.
Voices. And what do these voices tell you to do?
Well, they don't tell me to do anything, but they tell me words like thud, empty, and hollow. It's really terrifying.
Well, yes, that can be terrifying. It seems like you're suffering from schizophrenia. We'll get you started on compazine and thorazine. What is your full name so we can get your paperwork started here?
Angina Seaspin Penniless.
Well, it looks like he took the bait. Let's see how our other pseudo-patient does.
Come in. Come in.
Doctor, you gotta help me. I keep hearing things. It's maddening. It's driving me insane.
No, Mr. Bozak, calm down. Are these voices another person's or your own?
It's another man's. It keeps saying thud, thud, thud. I can't take it anymore.
Well, it sounded to me like you're suffering from schizophrenia. We can start you on Elavil and Sterilzine. We will admit you immediately.
That sounds good. I need a break. I don't know how I can go on like this.
All right. We'll just get you in a room and get you set up.
Room by myself?
We don't do that here.
No other voices?
Well, we'll go from there.
Once inside the hospital, the pseudo-patients reverted back to their normal selves. They would act as sane as they would in everyday life. Despite this, the staff was unable to detect the sanity of the pseudo-patients. Perception can be misled with a single word: schizophrenia. Each patient, after being diagnosed with a mental illness, could not escape the label. Their histories were rewritten to fit the diagnosis.
Miss Morton, thank you for joining us. So, we've already established your name is Christina Morton, and then you passed out. But for our experiment, we're using false names. That way nobody gets embarrassed later. So do you have a false name that you're going to be using?
Right. Vanessa Anchorage.
All right, Vanessa Anchorage. Very good. Sounds good. And your occupation right now, your current occupation?
Student, psychology student.
Oh, okay. What branch of psychology are you going to be studying?
Thinking social, it's one of my favorite.
All right, very good. And since you are a psychology student, that'll raise some red flags with the nurses and doctors. So do you have a false occupation that you'll be using?
Of course, yes. I'm thinking about doing a janitor.
Janitor, all right. Sounds good. And your favorite hobby? Your favorite thing to do?
We play some sports and basketball.
Basketball, huh? So can you dunk?
Oh yeah, 5'2".
All right, cool.
Favorite thing.
Mugsy Bogues over here, awesome. And your favorite food?
Spaghetti.
Any type? That's kind of broad. Anything more?
Some spaghetti with red sauce and those big meatballs. Oh, my favorite.
All right. And anything that happened in your childhood that like really shaped you to be who you are today?
Probably being homeschooled.
Homeschooled? All right. Sounds good. Well, Miss Morton, I think we have everything that we need, and we'll call you
Thank you.
if we decide to use you.
Solheim Institute of Mental Health, log 3.14. Subject, Vanessa Anchorage. Subject shows excessive aggression while playing ball with other patients. Must be a sign of underlying rage or pent-up hostility, or pent-up underlying rageful hostility. Patient shows up half hour early on spaghetti nights. This shows an affinity for the color red, possibly indicates a subconscious lust for blood. Our records also show that Vanessa was homeschooled, and this probably contributes to her inhibition to social situations. All this confirms her schizophrenic diagnosis. We need to up her medication.
Miss Crawford,
Yes,
could you join me over here, please?
sure I can.
Thank you. Thank you for tidying up the joint. It all looks great. There's some fine housekeeping skills you got there. So, Anna Crawford is your name.
Yes.
Are you aware of the name we'll be using for you in the experiment?
I believe it's Angina Seaspin Penniless.
That's correct. Very good.
And I don't know, it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you took the letters to being sane in insane places and scrambled them up to make my name.
That's right. Very, very good. You must be excellent at anagrams. And so, so what's your occupation, Anna?
I'm a housewife.
Housewife.
Mhm.
All right. Very good. And other than cleaning living rooms, what do you like to do?
I like taking care of babies. I
Taking
love
care of
babies.
All right. Loves babies. Very good. Most people do. And what's your favorite food?
Well, when I'm pregnant, it's ice cream with pickles.
Ice cream with pickles. All right. There it is. And anything that really defines Anna Crawford as a person? Something that happened in childhood, perhaps?
Not that I can really think of. I had a very average childhood. I bickered with my siblings growing up, but we have a much better relationship now.
All right. Very normal. That's good. All right. Well, that's all the questions we have for you. So if we decide to use you, we'll be giving you a call.
Great, thank you so much.
Laternal Mental Institution log 5324. Angina Penniless is a patient of ours who's been experiencing a love for babies. In my notes here, it shows an unhealthy desire to take care of younger patients. I also believe this is because of a loveless relationship that she had with her parents. In therapy sessions, doctors noted that she had stressful relationship with her siblings. This must be because of her estranged relationship with her parents. Lastly, she has a weird taste for ice cream with pickles. I believe this is because she is never satisfied with what she has. She's always storing pickles from burger night to bring them whenever ice cream is served. There's something weird about that, so we will continue watch her.
Mr. Chambers, could you join me over here, please?
I think I just like it. Oh!
Oof.
Oh!
I really feel you'll be much safer sitting in this seat over here.
I think so.
All right.
Oh!
You okay?
I'll be fine.
All right. So, Tommy Chambers is your name.
Yes.
And what do you do for a living,
I'm
Tommy?
a telemarketer.
Telemarketer. Okay. And what's your favorite thing to do?
I like to play sports.
Sports. What's your favorite sport?
Football.
Football, okay. And the position you like to play?
Defensive nose guard.
Defensive nose guard, all right. And what's your favorite food, Tommy?
Steaks.
Steaks, all right. And
With my special seasoning.
special seasoning, all right. You make it yourself?
Yes.
Sounds good. You'll have to bring me some. And what makes Tommy Chambers Tommy Chambers? What really defines you as a person?
Well, when I was younger, I was not so in contact with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of close to mom, but as I grew older, I came more in contact with my dad.
Okay, all right, very normal actually. And that's all I have for you today, Tommy. If we decide to use you, we'll be giving you a call.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Oh!
Months passed
Anna O., House of Insanity Log 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Subject Tommy Chambers has a habit of perching in odd locations. It seems to be a self-destructive habit, as he typically falls from these locations. It's as if he's under the delusion that he is some sort of cliff-nesting bird. The subject also appears very domineering when he is speaking with his friends and family during his weekly phone call. It's as if an alter ego takes control when he's on the phone. In play, the subject often attempts to protect the nose of his teammates. This behavior leads us to believe Tommy has reverted back to a childhood state where nose stealing is still a reality. These potentially dangerous behaviors force us to put Mr. Chambers into solitary confinement.
In this experiment, pseudo-patients attempted to initiate some kind of connection with staff members. Since the amount of time a person spends with you is a scale of how significant you are to them, a sub-study of this experiment was to determine how much of their time the hospital staff gives to patients.
Since there was very little interaction initiated by the staff outside of meal times, most pseudo-patients kept themselves entertained with a variety of projects. Let's observe.
Oh, Nurse Con, do you know when I'll be able to use a stapler for my project? Excuse me? Nurse Con? My stapler? Nurse Con? Con!
The results of this study have been compared to a similar study at Stanford, where a researcher posing as a college student asked seemingly busy professors for directions. 100% of the professors, although they were busy, stopped and helped the researcher with directions. Some professors even walked the researcher to their destination. However, in this study, researchers found 71% of psychiatrists moved past the pseudo-patient without making eye contact. As for those who only made eye contact, 23%. And those who actually stopped to speak with the patients, if only for a moment, accounted for the remaining 6%. Often with a short temper, the staff would routinely punish patients excessively for trivial matters, including the extreme norm-violating act of initiating verbal contact.
Need EKG on Mr. Johnson.
Lovely morning, isn't it?
What did you just say to me? Doctor, what's happening here? He was trying to attack me, I swear.
No, I'm not crazy.
He
She hit
made
me.
a charge at, yes, we do.
She hit me.
Definitely.
Hey. She's totally attacked him.
We need to up
Yes.
his meds
Don't
too.
even listen to In society, we make mistakes. Preconceived notions are often misleading. In attempts to solve a problem, we instead make things worse. In this study, we can see that our words, actions, and behaviors can affect everyone around us, even without our knowing it. We can be false prophets by labeling one as schizophrenic. They learn to act accordingly. The pseudo-patients in this study got to see firsthand what it's like to be judged from one behavioral difference or diagnosis, and how it shaped the perceptions of those around them. Sadly, crazy people tend to be more humane than the nurses gave them credit for, but in the end, they were still only seen as what they had been labeled, mentally ill. The nurses often judged the normal pseudo-patient's behaviors as irregular and as an effect of the schizophrenia. Often, because of this, the nurse would tell the patient that the diagnosis they had was an excuse for the way they acted. When a false statement is repeated enough times, it comes true for the patient. These findings are thought to be abnormal for what should be happening in mental hospitals. The hospitals were full of judgment, labeling, and depersonalization. Through the hierarchical system, the nurses and staff adopted the behaviors of the doctors. The doctors did not provide adequate interactions with the patients, and therefore the nurses imitated these actions. What the patients should have been experiencing is help, security, and a therapy for their problems.